Okay. Okay. Select statue. Okay. So recap from last time. We are currently having the Watanagashi festival. The group had chicanery ensue. From their going about booths and stuff like that. The main ceremony is about to start, which Rika is a part of. So previously, for that, basically, so Keiichi and Mion kind of patch things up. Kinda, and then, Keiichi helped out with actually setting up the festival, but that night afterwards, that is when he found out. I don't know why I did this out of chronological order, because it's the day before this happened, but he then learned Shion and, Camera Dude and Nurse Lady informed him of Oyashiro-sama's curse, and that it would seem like someone in the town, or persons in the towns would be behind using Oyashiro-sama's curse for reasons. Oh, hello, Avian, and thank you for the fluid check. So yes, that is that is the recap, and then now we're having the festival, Watanagashi Festival, and shenanigans, and then main ceremony. Got it. Okay, good. Rika, it looks like it's time. Ah, yeah, looks like it. Right, just about time for Rika-chan to appear in the offertory dance. I'm a little nervous. Believe in yourself. Sorry, it made me think of like Naruto or something. Believe it! Oh, I'm sorry, Roshi. Believe in yourself. All of your sweat will definitely amount to something, Rika-chan. Mion slapped hard on Rika-chan's back. That's right. You'll do fantastic, Rika. I'll do my best. Yeah, that's the spirit. I balled my hand into a fist and raised it into the air. We're rooting for you, Rika-chan. Go for it. Yay. Remember? Go for it. Yay! Wait, hold on. This is the closest we got to a yay.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yay!
Well, it does have a yay. I'm sure she's very inspired now by that. Rika-chan gave the best smile that I'd ever seen, then pivoted on our heel and ran off. Okay, we should get going too. Right, let's go cheer her on. You mustn't. You must keep silent during the performance. I got it cheesed. I rubbed a hand through her hair. She was worried about our good friend up to the end. What in the world have I walked in on? Some sort of dating sim? It may look at that, but no. It is a visual novel, but no. There's not any decisions or anything, so it's just a straightforward visual novel. But believe it or not, this is actually a horror visual novel. Yeah. So, I swear. There have been some very scary parts, not in the conventional sense. That is for sure. I have had to read out horrible, terrible things. Yes, definitely. Then we'd better hurry. All the good spots will be taken. Come on. Mion ran off. Everyone else followed a moment later. But oh yeah, but this series is called When They Cry. This says actually we're on the second volume currently. I actually have all of the stuff. For all the previous if you want to take a look at those on my YouTube. I has YouTube now, Dude with Pizza. And also, thank you so much for... I appreciate it. Haven't seen you in a while. Oh, no worries, no worries. I definitely understand that. But yeah, link to my YouTube is in the if you want to check that out, is in my one on my panels below. But let me just go ahead and put that, because we also just started up on Tuesday my reading through Lord of the Rings. Which I've already got that first episode up on the YouTube. Anyway. A large amount of people had already clustered into the tight space to watch the edifying dance. Wow, this is a lot of people. Turned around to look at everyone else, but nobody was there. Where did everyone go? Probably got lost among all these people. Finally, I spotted the back of Mion's head on the other side of the crowd. Definitely doesn't look like I can get over there. Well, got separated. No big deal. Can just meet back up when Rika-chan's dance is over. Gave up on finding the others and wandered around, trying to look for a place where I'd be able to see better. Didn't it take me long for me to realize I'd have to settle for watching between the heads of the people in front of me, though. Thump. Once again, an even louder taiko drum resounded. This was to announce the beginning of the dance. I didn't see very well, but it seemed like Rika-chan had come on stage with the elders, who were in priestly garb. I heard low exultations of admiration and seniors rubbing their prayer beads in gratitude. Everyone's heads were in the way, and I couldn't see. It was really frustrating. I should have cut playtime short and come here to get good spots earlier. After Rika-chan intoned the prayer, he took the festival hoe, and walked to the pile of quilts stacked on the altar. That's right. The point of the ceremony was to purify bedding and to hold a memorial service, wasn't it? And the solemn offertory dance began. She had practiced using a mochi-pounding pallet. The awkwardly shaped festival hoe Rika-chan held seemed really heavy. Back and forth, up and down, it was doubtlessly difficult to even lift it up in the air. But she sweated and waved, raised and dropped it, again and again. She couldn't just deal with it and do it grudgingly. As the shrine maiden, she needed to retain the dignity and solemnity present at this festival. Must be a ton of pressure on Rika-chan's shoulders right now. Damn, why am I cheering her on from a place I can barely see her? Her friend, I should be right up in the best spot rooting for her. Kei-chan, over here. Someone tugged lightly on the back of my shirt collar. It was Shion. He beckoned me outside the crowded ring of people. He had a mischievous grin on her face, and I took it as her saying she knew a good place nobody else knew of. Shion, what's up? Shh. Just be quiet and come with me. After she told me so, she ran in a big detour around the throng. Man, it's great to have someone who knows the lay of the land here at times like this. Impressed though I was, I nearly lost sight of her right away. No more getting separated for me. I ran after her so I wouldn't be left behind. Don't know why, but the real-life photos with the filters as the background is creepy to me. Yeah, I can kind of see that. It is like very different. That kind of, I think, like the juxtaposition, sort of with the character sprites, and then that sort of like murkified version of IRL images kind of creates like this, I don't know, not exactly uncanny valley, or maybe something like around that neighborhood. I guess some sort of uncanniness, maybe. It looks like a fever dream. Yeah, yeah, that might be a better description. As I wondered in anticipation what kind of secret spot Shion had in mind, we left the crowd of people and went around to the back of the shrine grounds. You feel isolated because the world is out of focus and out of touch. Oh yeah, I can definitely see that. That's a very good point. PlayStation, oh yeah. Let's remind me of that. Like the older, like a really low res CGI type thing. Has that sort of weird, that kind of off look to it. Hey, wait. Where are we going? We're getting further and further away. Shh. Just stay quiet and follow me. You'll understand soon. Shion gave me a wink that reminded me of Mion as she said that. No sign of people. Not much moonlight. It was dark. We had gotten pretty far from the crowd of people on the shrine grounds. Are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance from here? See, there's some high spot around here, isn't it? Like a rooftop or somewhere we can look down at it, right? What? Why do we have to climb onto the roof? Well, how else are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance? Did you really want to see Rika-chan's dance? Kei-chan, could it be that your strike zone is really low?
It's a trap!
Yep, would seem that way. I think everything with this chick is a trap. And I don't mean that in the usual anime sense. I mean just genuinely, it feels like you're being about to just... I was saying don't stick it in crazy or something like that. This definitely makes me think of that expression. I should have... Yeah. You see her in a crowd at a dark alley, run away. Brave Sir Robin ran away. Bravely ran away. When she unreared her creepy face, I ran away at a dreadful pace. It's in a modded version of the game full of memes and shit. I mean, some of my redeems basically kind of can make anything. My redeems now, especially the fact that I have redeemable overlays now. Yup, like that.
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
Also, I think Shion just implied that Keiichi is a creep. And like a lolicon or whatever. I don't think we're understanding each other here. Are you going to show me somewhere I can see Rika-chan's dance from easily? What? Who made that promise? Yeah. What's going on? Why me? Why do I always misunderstand Shion? I mean, that's pretty much our shtick. Is it my fault? Am I just reading the wrong things into it? Your mistake was to trust this chick. That was the problem, Keiichi. Then why did you call me out? Call me all the way out here? An expression that indicated she wasn't fooling around. Shion pressed her index finger to my lips and said slowly and quietly, "Oh no. No! It's a dark, dead, empty spot. Can't see it from the festival grounds. How a male and female the same age are all alone together. Oh. No! 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 Run away! Stranger danger, Keiichi! Throw holy water and get out the crucifix and purifying salts and everything to repel this fell harpy. Begone, she-devil, begone! Eh? Could this be? Shion, she's not planning something crazy again, is she? Shh! Look over there. See? Shion whispered, pointing into the dark underbrush. There we saw 2 figures, one male and one female. It's that! Is that... Right at the scene of a rendezvous course.
No!
Yep, you found. Yep. See, look closely. Tell who they are? Peered intently into the dark at Shion.
Stop! Oh, Megan, stop!
There you go. Congratulations. It was a team effort.
How does that make you feel? Are you proud? Are you still feeling good?
I'm never proud. Not out of humility. I know I suck.
This is so sad. Despacito, play Country Roads.
And the crowd goes wild.
Damn it. Peered intently into the dark at Shion's suggestions. Oh, it's Tomitake-san and Takano-san. 2 of them were clearly breathing quietly and glancing around to make sure I knew where they were. They crouched before the entrance to a wooden storehouse-like building. Uwu? Wait, Shion. This be what you wanted to show me? Hey-chan. You can see Rikachama's dance any year, but you won't get another chance like this, okay? I had thought the Sonozaki sisters each had their own personalities. At times like this, they seemed all too similar. No, I'm pretty sure Mion would put Rika's dance over this type of thing. Going back, don't call me for something like this again. You move now, they'll see us. A noisy argument. Takano suddenly turned around. Turn around, every dog I get a dinner, but then turn around. In a minute, around, bright eyes. Okay, stop that. Oh my, who might that be? We held our breaths and tried to wait it out, but it seemed like Takano-san was now acutely aware of our presence. He and I exchanged glances, then gave up and climbed out from behind the bush. Well, hello there. Moon sure is beautiful tonight, isn't it? My, isn't Shion-chan and my Barakun? Good evening, yes. The moon certainly is pretty. What's this? Heiichi-kun, you sure are smart, you know that? Having a secret date in a place like this? I guess we accidentally interrupted something important. You're the ones who were meeting up secretly. Take and Takano laughed to themselves. Got on my nerves for some reason. Wait, so you two weren't having a little rendezvous then? Of course we weren't. Oh, I don't dislike the idea of romance. Unfortunately, this wasn't the location of a rendezvous either of you would want to see. Sorry for not living up to your expectations. If this wasn't a rendezvous, what were you doing? Tomitake, are you messing around with the padlock on the door just now? Huh? After she said that, looked at the two of them again, and I definitely saw it. They were hunched in front of a warehouse door, fiddling with the pretty heavy-looking padlock. Guess we've been found out, huh? We were trying to break into the warehouse, but don't tell anyone, all right? Don't tell anyone? Thieves or something? I demanded unthinkingly because of how absently Tomitake was grinning. Nah, never. Thieves are people who steal things, right? It's not like we were trying to take anything out of here. I see. And why were you trying to unlock the door? This is the forbidden storehouse for ritual tools. They say only the Furude family and a mere handful of others are allowed in. Forbidden storehouse? I took a few steps back at that and looked on the entire warehouse. Certainly looks like one, built removed from any signs of people, almost as if in secret. It's filthy, revealing how little it was ever opened. It was built to be durable, giving it a strange, overpowering impression. Now that I looked at it more closely, it was certainly different. It was certainly different than a normal warehouse. This place. They're called ritual implements. Basically, this is a warehouse where they store such tools used in rituals. Well, more accurately, maybe it's a temple where the implements are enshrined. The ritual Ho Rika-chan is used for the offertory dance was inside here until today. Of course, if anyone but the Furude family enters, they bring impurity into it, so absolutely no one is allowed a single step inside it. It's a sanctuary. Shouldn't we absolutely not be coming to a place like this then? However, Takano was wearing a childlike expression, an innocent smile at best, and terribly cruel grin at worst. Pretty sure it's the latter, most likely. I told you I was researching Hinamizawa's folk tales and legends out of interest in them, didn't I? A lot of the answers to questions I'm curious about are hidden away inside here. I've waited all this time until today for this chance. Chance? Everybody's eyes were fixed on the dance at the shrine grounds today. This was the ultimate blind spot. I see. I didn't know you had lockpicking skills, Tomitake. Stop it. I don't want to be doing this, okay? Sorry for taking you along with me, but this was all thanks to you, Jiro-sama. I really am grateful. Sheesh. This is the only time, understand, Takano-san? I don't want to be sneaking into places like this. You really are a good person, Jiro-san. Or clink. Tomitake undid the padlock and looked it and placed it to the side. It's open. Thank you. At long last. Takano-san gulped, but an unusually excited air about her. She gave the heavy door a shove. The sharp smell of mold and dust flowed out from the gap in the doors. I claimed curses didn't exist, but in this situation, I could believe in them. We went into such a holy place with our shoes on. Feels like we could be punished somehow. How about it? Your accomplices too. Came all the way here, so why not come in and take the tour? Be a little field trip to a museum of precious cultural artifacts that conceal the secret history of Hinamizawa. It's only open today. Hee hee. We're not accomplices or anything. Aren't you interested, though? Come on, let's take a peek, Shion said predictably, linking her arm with mine. But we definitely shouldn't be doing this. This is a holy warehouse, isn't it? You said ritual implements, right? I feel like we shouldn't go in. I'm part of the Sonozaki family, so I have a good guess as to what we'll find in there. But I want you to see it too, Kei-chan. You want to show something to me? I thought it was just a ploy, but Shion's eyes looked entirely serious. Of course, she was the sort who could lie with a straight face. Of course, I was an average boy, too. My curiosity was at least twice that of a normal person. Sleeping, forbidden treasures, never to leave this warehouse. Chances like this don't come around too often. I had to choose then. I want to see. Till the locked door is open, though. I don't know about this. If you're not interested, Kei-chan, then you can leave now. Think you'll wonder about it later, though. Yep, honestly, that's probably the smarter. That would be a smarter response. You know how we were talking about potential curse on this town or conspiracy or stuff like that? Let's now go look into this forbidden warehouse. It's forbidden area with ritual artifacts of some sort that are enshrined. What could possibly go wrong? Tee hee. Tomitake-san spoke after listening to our discussion, themselves having sat down on the stairs to take a short rest. I'll keep watch here. Go in and check out with them. I'm not too interested. But it might be pretty interesting for a young guy like you, Keiichi-kun. He said, laughing mischievously. There's no ill will in his laughter. Tomitake, do you know what's in there? Kind of. Kano told me all about it. Must be a pain to have to go along with your companion's unique hobbies, huh? Tomitake didn't answer that, only responding with a pained smile. Kano had this kind of scary air about her. She'd drop absolutely everything else for something she had an interest in, and go straight for it, but... Mitake, on the other hand, seemed like the gold standard of what a normal person should be. Having him tell me so frankly to go check it out suddenly made the guilt feel lighter. Okay, but just a little. Not interesting, I'm leaving. You got it. Shion gave me another Mion-like wink. Looks like we're decided. Shall we go inside? Jiro-san, we'll leave this to you. Mitake waved his hand to see us off. The inside was pitch black, but Takano turned on the battery-powered lantern she'd brought, revealing a pretty cramped front room. It's so dark in here. Everyone, take care not to trip over anything. I appreciate the concern. Okay, doorman. Keep a good watch. We're shutting the door now. Kano smiled spitefully, as if leaving Tomitake out of something fun, and began to close the door. Man. Alright, everyone, have fun. There was a low, heavy, and loud noise, and we were completely cut off from the outside world, uncovered in silent darkness. Takano-san's lantern was the only light we had. It'll be fine. It's an outdoor lantern with backup batteries inside. Won't go out or anything. It's like Takano noticed my uneasy expression. Couldn't help but blush a little and avert my gaze. Deeper inside, there was a heavy and old but sturdy door with solemn decorations on it. It was the last door sealing away what was within. Strange how it has an antechamber, even though it's just a warehouse, isn't it? I believe it's set up this way, so that you can open one door at a time, never letting the room with all the tools be seen from the outside. Kano explained this, awfully impressioned by the construction. Still, it's really dark in here. Huh? That over there, it's... I spotted a circuit breaker hanging from a clump of wiring, clumsily attached to the wall. Of course... Oh, here, isn't this the light switch or something? I flicked the biggest switch I could find, and with a click, the pitch-black room was illuminated by an old, bare light bulb. Everyone scratched up their faces at the sudden strobe-like brightness. Don't! Before she even finished, John slapped my hand and flipped the switch back. There was another loud click, and the room returned to darkness with only the lantern for illumination. Oh. You can't, Kei-chan. You snuck in here, remember? You turned on the light. It might give us away. Scolded by Shion fairly harshly. Looked like she was worried about whether someone had seen them from the momentary light. It's all right. Only for a moment. Takano-san remained a relaxed adult. Seemed like she was confident she could talk her way out of it if someone did see us. Let's go in. Here we go. There. The even heavier door opened. This time, it wasn't just the dust that came out of the air. There was also a nasty smell. One smell was like opening a dust-filled cupboard in the back of a kitchen that hadn't been opened in years. The other smell, the nasty one, it's hard to explain. It was like the raw odor of a fish market. I don't think that's a good sign. From how the sound echoed, this room felt far larger than the first.
And the crowd goes wild.
Yay!
Not sure exactly how they would how fish smell, how stank fish sound make anyone go yay. Kano-san held her lantern and revealed the contents of the expansive room. Thank you for the senzu bean. Whoa! Back at the wall of the storehouse, right in front of us, was a Buddha-like holy object, standing there, looking down at us, menacingly. It's taken aback by its unseen force, lit up by the slender beam of the lantern. That's the guardian god of Hinamizawa, Oyashiro-sama. Far grander than the one at the shrine. Oyashiro-sama. This is the spirit protecting Hinamizawa, the one guarding the holy land of Hinamizawa from the impurities of the outside world, and the one delivering punishment after punishment upon those who attempted to sully the land with the damn construction. Looks like there are far more tools stored here than I thought. But this is so sad. None of them have been maintained. How unfortunate that they're in such a state. Even in the dim light, I could see a lot of strange objects lining the walls, healing in shelves. Kano, speaking as if in a trance, was infatuated by the various implements filling the dark room. Weren't very festival-like or traditional, but instead, this was more like the workshop of a blacksmith or a carpenter. There were a lot of large wooden and metal tools packed in here. But bluntly, it was all pretty boring stuff. Imagine there would be more artistic things in here from the Heian period, but these are a far cry from being cultural artifacts. My expression betrayed my dashed hopes, and they caught on right away. Oh? This not interesting for you? I'm not into literature or art, so I can look at this stuff, but I don't really understand its value. Kei-chan, You really do look like you don't get it. I guess that's only natural. Takano reached into a paper bag that she'd been holding the whole time, took out a worn scrapbook and began to flip through it. And just for you, Keiichi-kan, I'll tell you an old story. It's a common tale in this region. If you go to the library, it would even be on their recommended reading list. Telling stories? Such a dark, creepy place. What is this? An episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark? You must have a horror story in mind. Mion's face belied nothing but calm. She had the same personality as Mion, but found fault with me being scared. Endure it for now and pretend to be calm. Okay. All right. I'll read it. Confirming that I was going to be quiet and listen, she began to speak softly, like a kindergarten teacher reading a picture book. Long, long ago, in a certain village in the mountains, there was a swamp. This swamp was very, very deep. Some even called it bottomless. People said it was connected to hell, the land of demons. The rumors said that it was deeper than the ocean, that anyone it swallowed would sink into the underworld. Bottomless swamp. Its name was Onigafuchi. Wait, not back to the story I heard yesterday about the sacrifices sinking into the bottomless swamp. That swamp be the one she's talking about? So then the village was Hinamizawa, right? You catch on quickly. That's right. Though it was called Onigafuchi Village at the time. Onigafuchi Village. It's a pretty inauspicious name. It evokes quite the image, doesn't it? I hear that the name was changed in the Meiji period. The name of the swamp connected to hell was called Onigafuchi, which meant the demon's abyss. The true name of this village, Hinamizawa, was Onigafuchi Village. The villagers belonged to that abyss, or to hell, in other words. They lived their lives worshipping the swamp said to connect to it. But then, one day, demons began to appear, one after the other from deep in the swamp. The village feared that hell was overflowing. The demons mercilessly attacked the villagers. They could only watch in fear. They could do no more than hide themselves and tremble. So, did someone exterminate them? Unfortunately, there is no Momotaro or Superman in this fairy tale. Then, did they get the whole village together to fight them? Heavens no. The villagers weren't nearly strong enough to fight on equal terms with the demons. Then, the only recourse would be to flee the village. They couldn't do that either. The villagers was their beloved homeland. It didn't matter how terrifying the demons. They wouldn't have run away so easily. Then, what did they do? Wouldn't they just get wiped out? Unable to fight, and unable to run. All they could do was wait for the village to be destroyed. Then, when everyone had lost hope, their god, Oyashiro-sama, descended unto them. I see. So Oyashiro-sama came down from the sky and beat up all the demons then. You're such a boy, Kei-chan. You always jump straight to using force to resolve things. She sighed, a little annoyed. Embarrassed, I held my tongue. The thing about Oyashiro-sama, he wasn't a violent god who would beat them up like you're saying. He was a kind god, filled with love and benevolence. The strength of Oyashiro-sama descended from the heavens couldn't be compared to that of the demons. They didn't even fight. They simply prostrated themselves before his radiant authority. Oyashiro-sama urged them to go back to hell from whence they came, but the demons wept and challenged him, saying they could never return. The world of the demons, too, has harsh commandments. They claim they have been banished from hell. Demons didn't have a place to go, either in hell or in the human world. Of course, they were at fault for attacking the village. They deeply reflected on it and were sorry. As the villagers conversed amongst themselves, Little by little, they came to pity the demons and, after talking with everyone in the village, they decided to live alongside them. A lot of fairy tales have them being exterminated or driven away, but you don't often hear one where they live in peace. You're right. Demons are supposed to symbolize all evils. Or where they decide to live together with humans, certainly strange. When the demons first heard the villagers' invitation, they doubted their ears, but soon burst into tears of joy. The villagers had given them a place to live. It was said that in payment for this good deed, the demons shared their many kinds of power and secrets with the village. Oyashiro-sama was very pleased with this happy exchange. He gave the demons the bodies of humans so that they would be indistinguishable from the villagers. He himself decided to stay on the surface and watch over the everlasting peace between them. A land in which man, demon, and god live together. I had thought the word demon was a noun meaning evil that needs to be exterminated. A god may have mediated for them, but you don't often hear happy endings like that where both sides live in harmony. I see. Yes, it is kind of interesting. Although the normal fairy tale ends there, it was revised quite a bit during the Edo period into a much longer story. After that, the humans and demons intermixed, and eventually there was no difference between them. So the demons ended up disappearing? No, not at all. Half of them stayed just as they were. The knowledge the villagers had received from the demons basically made them into something inhuman, what people call transcendent. They were well aware the power they had was heresy, and as those below worshipped them, they lived out their lives in secrecy. This story is the root of many derivative tales and pieces of fiction. It's the foundation, I mean. The basis. What do you mean by root? She means the part about the villagers having demon blood. What I mean is, all of the legends from around here are based on the premise that the villagers are descended from demons. There was a hint of amusement in Shion's face as she said that. It's like she wanted to say that she too had demon blood in her. There any proof though? Maybe it's somehow rooted in historical fact beyond just fairy tales. Oh, my Barakun, do you believe that demons really did come out of the swamp and breed with humans? Well, it's not that I don't believe it, but... When she said demon, she meant the ones from hell, but... In ancient Japan, the word wasn't necessarily used to denote only that kind, right? More well-known use involves the drifting foreigner theory. As the story goes, Westerners who were shipwrecked in nearby seas had such markedly different customs that they were called demons. Japanese people were relatively similar in appearance to other Asians, but everything about those from the West was different: their physiques, their faces, and their skin color. In Japan, terms like red demon and blue demon evoke images especially of Westerners. Lacking in skin pigments, Westerners would sunburn easily and turn red. Being fair-skinned, I think blood vessels appearing on their skin would look blue too. A handful of accidental aliens would drift into Japan and came under persecution, being called demons. They would flee into the mountains to survive, turn into bandit groups, and attack villages for food and the like. How does that explanation sound? Maybe it's a bit childish. Hello, Sophie. Thank you for coming by. And thank you for the head patch. Keiichi, Shion, and the nurse lady and camera guy burst into a forbidden warehouse. Well, everyone's busy at the festival. And they're currently getting a lore drop. I don't see how this could go sideways at all. Kano gave me a weird smile when, having come up with such an impromptu hypothesis, I unconsciously followed up with self-depreciation. Still, she didn't smile as if to make fun of me. It's not ridiculous. There are a lot of people who subscribe to the drifting foreigner theory. Even so, nobody actually knows what happened. A second. Were they groups of foreigners who turned to banditry, or were they really demons who had come from the bottom of the world? Then, Takano, which one do you believe? The truth of the matter aside, I'd rather believe the more fantastic explanation. It's more fun that way, isn't it? Her answer made her sound a wee bit like a romanticist. Here I thought she'd reject unrealistic stories like that. Now then, this is where the fun begins. Kano brought an end to her storytelling and waits for a moment as if to tantalize us. Suddenly, Shion looked around as if something had caught her eye. Her head bobbed to and fro like she was making sure nothing had changed. What's wrong, Shion? I'm sorry. Please, don't worry about it. Shion pretended as though nothing had happened. Kano also made sure nothing had happened, then cleared her throat and broached the next subject. I explained that half of the villagers have demon blood. That blood, they actually say that it's the blood of the kind of demon that eats people. And eating demons. That escalated quickly. That blood still runs through the villagers' veins. They say that sometimes the blood awakens from its slumber. I thought the fairy tale had a happy ending with the humans and demons living in a peace, but it began to suddenly change into a brutal, bloody story. Well, they eat people. They say that every decade or so, they can't help but want to feast on human flesh. The villagers can't eat other villagers, so when this happens, it's said that they descended on the human villages and conducted onikakushi. What's an onikakushi? Broadly speaking, it's when a demon kidnaps someone, when a person is demoned away. They say that the villagers of Onikafuchi would overwhelm unfortunate human villages in order to kidnap sacrifices. Kano-san's explanation was plain and simple. When I imagined what it must have been like, it was terrifying. They lose their human reason. The villagers turned into real demons en masse. They attack the villages they loathe in the dirty world of the masses below. Then they kill and eat their sacrifices. So they're no different from demons after all. What did Oyashiro-sama do? You supposed to be staying in the village and watching over them? Oyashiro-sama knew about it, of course. Onikakushi isn't indiscriminate. The villagers apparently never kept anyone other than the sacrifices decided upon by their god. In the text, it's usually 1 or 2 people. Village inhabited by those both human and inhuman. It was like the heartwarming episode's colors had inverted, like negative film, revealing the painful and ugly truth. So on the nights when they raided villages, they would feast on their kidnapped sacrifices, which is why the nights came to be known as Watanagashi. Watanagashi? Tonight's festival was Watanagashi. Just couldn't reconcile the fun festival with the horrible tale Kano was telling me. Well, Watanagashi, well, wasn't it about giving thanks to the futons we use over the winter or something? Hey-chan, Wata has another meaning, you know. It means entrails. Shion, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Entrails? Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Like fish guts. Wait, what? Like a jigsaw puzzle. The fun times I had today and Takano's grotesque tale clicked together in my mind. Watanagashi. So... Yup. That was perfectly timed. Oh my gosh. I think I have to give that one to you. Watanagashi. So, gut spilling. And things saying that could ever feel so nauseating. Yes. It's as you imagine, my Bara. Right now, the Watanagashi Festival might just be a somewhat early summer festival occurring every June, but it used to be different. It used to be a ghastly, cannibalistic feast held on the night the villagers had collected their unfortunate dinner. That can't be true. I had no real reason to say that, but I couldn't help it. My Bara, you said that Watanagashi is a ritual about purifying futons, right? Do you think the futons, filled with cotton, with wata, represent? Futons are futons. They're beds. They're things for sleeping in. What else could they possibly represent? I was rattling on, desperately attempting to deny the horrible festival that Takano was describing. Deep down, however, I found myself understanding all too well what she meant. Futon stuffed with cotton. If the cotton represented entrails in both pronunciation and meaning, then entrail-filled futons would have to be humans. Why don't you think back to the offertory dance Rika-chan performed? Do you know what she was doing up there? No, I don't. I didn't even watch the whole thing anyway. Shh. Hey-chan, getting too worked up. Shion grabbed one of my ears, reminding me that this wasn't somewhere I should raise my voice, even so I still can't suppress the agitation I feel. Rika-chan was carrying a festival hoe. You probably realize it already, but that's not a hoe for plowing fields. It's a tool for dissecting human bodies. I didn't see the dance all the way through, so I don't know what kind of performance Rika-chan was putting on after I'd left. When I told this to Kano, he kindly explained Rika-chan's dance to me. Summarized what she said, after what I'd seen. Rika-chan would pierce the futons with that hoe, cut them open, and pull out the cotton inside. He'd cut the cotton out, one bit at a time, and set it afloat. That's the kind of ritual it was. Broadly speaking, it was quite the bombastic ceremony where they'd rip out the guts and throw them into a basin, and then the ritual was over. It's thought that afterwards, the villagers, each with a different role, dismantled the flesh piece by piece, feasted upon it. Seriously. Kano she has bad energy. And I'm not talking like the fun bad, like, I'm not like other girls' tee-hee type energy. I mean just the no, don't. Go the other direction. Do not pass go, do not collect $200 type. At Takano-san's strangely happy giggle, I felt, for some reason, violent displeasure. I didn't even read that, but yeah, basically, you just... Good instinct on that one there. Rika-chan, every day during our lunch break, she'd take a rice-pounding mallet into the schoolyard. She'd work so hard, sweating bullets, to practice for the offertory dance she had done today. All that effort, all that work. Kano disgraced it, even though she worked so hard to practice for today. Kano, I think you should choose your words more carefully. Kei-chan's pretty naive, so please don't tease him so much. Before I opened my mouth to express how angry I was, Shion stopped me. Shion must have fully aware of how that story made me feel. I'm sorry. I thought you'd like a story with that sort of shock value since you're a boy. Kano spoke without a hint of malice as she smiled gracefully. After healing all that, did you figure out what kind of stuff is in this storehouse, Kei-chan? See? Look. Shion pointed out one of the walls vaguely illuminated by the lantern's light. There was... Mere moments ago, they hadn't held my interest. They were just boring-looking tools lined up on the shelves. All those uninteresting tools that I didn't understand how to use, they all suddenly took on a new meaning, and I couldn't help but let out a groan. At first, they looked like carpentry tools, like chisels or planes. However, when I thought back, I'd seen pictures of these sorts of tools before. Yeah, they came up in a Japanese history textbook. Yes. On the page introducing the Kaitai Shinsho, or a new text on anatomy. These sorts of things. They're printed realistically in the literature of Germany, capital of the medical world. These aren't carpentry tools. These strangely shaped tools are for dissection. Everybody knows that in the Edo period, they would dissect the corpses of those who had been put to death in order to gain knowledge about Western medical techniques. Illustrations of the dissection tools they used at the time came up in textbook supplements. The things hung up on this wall all looked exactly the same as those. If you want a scarier way of looking at it, think of them as cooking utensils. Nakano, holding the lantern, the only light source in the room, led us along the wall. He had the only light, so I had to walk after her whether I liked it or not. Look. Nakano illuminated a coiled chain which left a bigger impression than the other things we saw. The chain itself was nothing unusual, but further along it were metal fetters that were like hinges, clearly meant for binding people. Hey, Chan, look at that! Shion tapped me on the shoulder and pointed to a restraining table that was clearly shaped like a person. My spine froze. My blood felt like it was turning into sherbet as it crawled up my back. On each of the joints, there were things like chains and iron balls attached. It was like the table was searching for its next sacrifice, ready to spread their arms wide and close them in. It's probably a chopping block. I think you'd strap the sacrifice down to prep them for eating. The words chopping block sent a jolt through my body. When I looked more closely, there were many dark slices carved into it, as through from a knife or a saw. They were the most clear-cut signs of usage you could ask for. It proved these tools weren't just for show. They were used for their original purpose. If someone was strapped tightly onto this table, they probably wouldn't be able to move even a muscle. Their guts would be defenseless. You'd take one of those eerie cooking knives lined up over there, stab them with it, and then you'd slice open their belly and dissect them. I'd heard the stories, but this is incredible. Before coming in here, Shion had mentioned she had a good guess of what was inside, but it seems to have exceeded her imagination. Come with me, and you'll see World of pure imagination. I'm sorry, I'm bad. I'll stop that. There's still more. How about it? More fascinating than a wax museum, isn't it? Kano-san had this happy expression, like she was visiting a toy store for the first time. I don't get it. This Mio Takano person has nerves of steel. Are these bizarre, grotesque objects that fascinating to her? She's giving me She doesn't give off serial killer vibes at all. She promises she is not the person that she would invite, that she would have turn on Huey Lewis in the news and start talking to someone while getting an axe ready. I, for one, was not enjoying myself. I'll be frank. This was all too weird for me. Still, there was something even more horrifying than all this. That would be none other than Takano herself. Takano, holding the lantern, giving off such a thin beam of light. She suddenly turned it off. What I do when, the next moment, everything went totally dark. That's why I was scared. Kano had the only light, and anyway, I was scared. At some point, Shion had started holding on to my shirt sleeve. It was a little annoying to walk like that, but I didn't shake her off. That minor sensation allowed me to feel the presence of an ally, here and now. Before we had even walked halfway through the storehouse, the air I felt on my skin changed completely. These cruel tools lined up, all crammed together in this place. Some were horrible ones made to take away sacrifice's freedom, and some were made to efficiently disassemble and prepare the bodies for consumption. Those were just the things I understood. There were plenty of other strange-looking objects that I couldn't even guess the purpose of. Now that I was here, I didn't have the slightest desire to hear the details about what sort of terrifying reasons they were meant to be used for. At the very least, they were all completely different from the sort of clean, simple killing function of a katana. Tools to kill people were obviously constructed in such a way that they could kill people. If that was the goal, then the person you used them on would, obviously, end up dead. Kinds of tools, however, were different. Tools that were here were for cutting people, crushing them, for boiling them and cooking, and for grinding them. They weren't tools of torture. They weren't made to kill people. People dying was just an incidental result. Actually, they might not even kill them. If the sacrifices could die during such a horrifying ritual process, that would be nice, but don't even die in the end. They remain in a state of hellish pain. Perhaps they were only being allowed to live. Only now, in this moment, did I fully realize just how terrifying and fearsome that difference was. People, you see. Most of these wouldn't kill them if used properly. Kano, as if reading my mind, displayed a shocking smile. Burning at the stake, the famous method of execution for witches, would kill the person immediately. When the body suffers extreme burns, on the skin, all over, the decomposition of the skin's chemical process produces poison-like symptoms and causes an immense shock to the victim. Though I suppose it's still very cruel compared to the guillotine. You have to wait far longer for that to happen. Actual historical footnote. Burning at the stake, in most cases you would actually die of smoke inhalation. Would almost certainly be what would happen. And though actually even then, in most cases, they would actually, the burning part was more symbolic because they would actually just strangle they would have someone that would strangle the person being executed they would just strangle him with a rope and then do the burning afterwards. So they really only like actually did an actual like full-on like burning to alive, and once again, even then it's going to be smoke inhalation before the fire itself. But even that would still be like only if it like would be a very rare like, and you are wanting more to send like a message or whatever. So like a full-on like enemy of the high profile, like enemy of the state or something like that. So like a king or someone high up ordering an execution or something like that. Just a little historical footnote. So they brought it up, okay? And yes, I know weird crap. She describes such horrors in a strangely medical way. Aw, thank you. So yeah, I know weird crap. So, if you want another fun thing, this wouldn't apply human. This would normally just be done with like an animal or whatever. But but in ancient times, there is actually a method of divination in which you remove the liver of an animal, like a cow or a sheep or something, and you would divine the future by the types of like lines and marks and bumps and stuff like that. So yeah. Well played, dude with pizza. Well played. Yeah, old school divination in ancient times was typically a pretty grim affair. Even some of the lesser ones or whatever, like the ones that they find in like of ancient ones that they found like in China or whatever, will be like oracle bones and stuff like that. So the bones of a, not just rolling finger bones. So, yeah, divination could be very grim and grisly. Not just not shuffling cards or stuff like that. That we would necessarily think of. Actually, I think some of the earliest, I'm trying to remember, I think some of the earliest examples of writing in, at least in ancient China, and some of the earliest things actually are like oracle bones. I could be remembering that completely wrong. So, also the information could be dated. Because it's one of those things when you're dealing like with really old like discoveries and what's been found earliest, is because in between the time you learn that, especially if it's like maybe a few decades old or whatever these days, they might come across and find something even like that goes back even earlier. So Hi, Fox Club. We're just talking about, like, dismemberment and disemboweling people and things. Just a normal night here. But I hope you're doing alright. Shion immediately answered the question I had. Kano is a nurse. There's a saying that nothing can scare a doctor. I guess it's true. Oh, and also, there was a method of execution in ancient Rome where they would grill the person. Just like a barbecue. They would cover the person in a wire netting and slowly cook them over a charcoal fire. Oh! Oh, I've heard this one. Oh my gosh, what's the name? It was, because I think I know what they're referring to. Because there was a guy, and he was eventually like, he was made a saint that was martyred via being cooked alive. And is apparently one of the things he was made patron saint of was cooks. Just feels a bit on the nose. Let me see. Aha. Okay, wait. Okay, apparently, I just want to hear about the one. Let's see. St. Lawrence. Okay, St. Lawrence, while being roasted alive on a gridiron, asked his torturers to turn him over because he was done on that side, making him the patron saint of both cooks and comedians. Da-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Oh, wow. Well, I've heard of gallows humor, but... oh my gosh. It was very, very on the nose, I think. Oh. We have fun. Thought it was Braspel when they said Rome barbecue. I think that's what it is. The chat. Yeah. Oh, I do know what you're referring to. The brass bowl thing. I think that was actually Greek, and that was part of I think that was like more like closer to a myth or something like that, or maybe one of those in that gray area where basically it was you would stick someone in this, there is like this thing where it was a brass bowl, you stick someone in there and then you could roast them alive inside of it by making a fire on the outside so it would heat up, and there was a hole in the front so you could like hear them, so the bull would moo very loudly, as it were. Yeah. Apparently the screams for incense sound like I guess so. Either that or someone thought, hey, you know what would be funny? What if we made an... I mean, I'm not sure what else would be like an animal that would be... that human screams would be closest to. That you could also fit inside an empty version. Someone can figure that out, but I feel like if I make any more... I am not going to Google that. I would only succeed in ending getting on, like, some sort of, like, list of suspicious persons or something like that. Or I'd have to turn it on my, like, VPN thing, but that would mess up all my stuff. So... I will say, still, like, I think the worst... Honestly... Other than electrocution, which is honestly still, like, I guess other than the cooking things... Although electrocution wouldn't be that far behind. I feel one of the worst things though I could imagine was, okay, so so you probably like heard of this because of like because of Vlad the Impaler, you know, stuff like that, where basically it's, you know, putting people on spikes and all that stuff. Now, the thing about that is, impaling someone, is if you got it right, and obviously if you were experienced in it, it would actually be possible to impale someone through their body without hitting anything major enough to where they would actually, like, just die very quickly. So you could be impaled, but still alive and just left to die. Yeah. On worst ways to go, that would probably, yeah. Probably after that would be entombment. It's basically being buried alive, but instead it's like in an actual tomb area, so... You know, you're not going to... You don't die of asphyxiation. You die of exposure. And you're not exposed, so it's more like hunger and stuff like that. Yeah. Pretty much. Because, I mean, with that, they typically, like, and even that, if you're, like, in the, accounts or whatever, as far as, like, the crucifixion of Jesus, or whatever, it's hinted on as far as, like, mentioned as far as, like, the fact that, you know, basically it's, like, definitely would not want to do it, and it would be a really, you know, it would definitely be a top-tier way of, like, top-tier as ways you don't want to go out. Certainly on up there, but more of, like, because someone would break, you know, mention as far as breaking legs or whatever, to where you would eventually just... So, basically, it would be, like, after it, or whatever, more for, like, that it was public, and it's more public, it's more about, like, the shame aspect of it, as far as, like, that method. When we think of it, when, like, execution and stuff like that, we, like, kind of rate them by, like, things like pain or stuff like that. But, you know, prior to the modern period, a lot of what would go on deciding factors or whatever is the shame aspect. Like even in Europe and stuff like that, you know, like the way you would behead the way you execute a noble is going to be a bit different than how you execute a commoner. You know, the nobles get the nice large broadswords and stuff like that. So there's that, it's the honor and shame dynamic in a lot of punishments. When you start getting as far as rewards and punishments when you get into pre-modern stuff. And also even not just pre, but also in like not, I guess, how to phrase this? Non-post-Enlightenment Western sensibilities, I guess is the way to put it. So like in Asian cultures or just non-Western ones, shame and honor is still a very strong motivating factor type thing. Either do something or refrain from doing something. I don't call me chicken. Yes, hello. Yeah, we got on a whole weird conversation. Oh. Yes, back to, the game. That's what it was like. Apparently, they wouldn't die too easily for some reason. According to one source, even if they roasted one side of a person to a crisp for an entire night, they would still be conscious and able to speak fluently. That's insane. You'd grill someone the whole day and they'd still be conscious? It's said that in ancient Rome, famous for their executions, thought of plenty of ways to execute someone while having the victim stay alive as long as possible. Back to the Oh my gosh. You and your crazy shenanigan chicken. Among them, there was one method where they would open the gut, pull out the intestines like sausages, pull them up with a winch, and put them on public display. Their face and see how fluid. They speak then. Shion was behind me, clinging to me. Not just because she was scared. She was protecting her stomach. You would think someone with their intestines pulled out would die instantly, right? Actually, as long as you do it tenderly and thoroughly, it's apparently possible to pull them out all the while the person is still conscious. I don't know why, but that's... Crazy bitch. Just... Girl ever.
No, 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 no.
Nope. Apparently she doesn't stop. Or she doesn't know when to stop. Wait, I can make this joke. I was about to say... No, wait, that's joke's too far. I couldn't make the joke. Then I realized, wait a minute, I'm in that group. I can make that joke. Clearly she's got the Asperger's. That's why she's not catching on. Points to tags. Describe. It's not like I was doing that a second ago. See, I'm still somehow gonna get canceled for. Got the paperwork and everything to prove it. Okay. That I can make that joke. I felt a sick feeling in my stomach. It's like my organs were coaling up, just from Takano's stare. Though pulling them out with a winch was a rather exaggerated method. A more barbaric way, they might slice open the gut, then cut the intestines out, and throw them...
This is so sad. Despacito, play Country Roads.
It's quite imaginable that they did dreadful things like that too, isn't it? And then serve it with a nice Chianti and fava beans.
So I went up to him.
Yes?
And I stabbed him 37 times in the chest.
Carl, that kills people!
Oh.
I feel like that's was a both contributing both the game and...
No!
However, those being put to death are conscious. It must be far more terrifying than painful. She spoke with pleasure, as if she had come here on a sightseeing trip. I heard Shion gulping multiple times near my ears. Thank you for the head pat. Perhaps Hinamizawa, or rather, Onigafuji Village, did something like that for the Watanagashi festival. Listen, you try hard, can't you hear it? I wanted nothing more than to not hear anything at all. So why? Why only at times like these do I begin to hear things I shouldn't be able to? Do you hear? Are the lambs still screaming? Clarice. Kano-san, having realized she'd scare Shion and I enough at this point, smiled soothingly. Then she turned on her heel, raised the lantern, and began to walk again. Takano left us here. We'd get even further away from the light. Shion and I, no matter how scared we were forced to follow Takano along on her field trip to the ritual storehouse. Can you set the hand from the head pad over there? I'm not sure, honestly. I don't think so. Oh. Now I'm tempted to try. Give me a second, because someone I think would have to be on the right side of the screen. And then I might be able to do. Oh my gosh. Suppose we've seen a bit of everything, see? This place is interesting, isn't it? He says, raising the lantern high in the center of the storehouse. Just a joke. The dim lighting didn't change, but for some reason it felt like I was able to see all of those horrible tools at once. Hey, John. Darn it. The button. Hit the button. Gift tab. Gift I. it just me, or do those look like characters from two different anime? I guess it's me because they feel like a little bit, they're so very different in design, maybe. I could kind of see what you're getting at, I think. I know I disappeared. Hold on. And I'm back. Okay. Let me try. Left looks like an adult anime, and right looks like a magical girl. Let me see. That's not it. Hey, look. I'm Japanese now. Get the joke? I made it. Everyone going like, I don't get the joke. I'm not going to explain it. It's very sus. I'm just gonna say that. Didn't get the joke. It's a pixelated. It just hit right after. Okay, that's enough. How do I... There we go. I deserve that. That must be a new one. I'm just very grateful that's green. Deserve that.
Do you know the way?
Can I change the color? Yes, I can if I remember. Let me see. Wait a minute. Also, I may be complete to remember that this is the wrong thing to do that with. But I am not going to. Oh, wait. Can I? Nope. Hold on. I can only adjust it up and down. So... I now hate myself. I'm gonna stop that now. I return that normal. Normal say so. There we go. There we go. Okay. gonna drop some stuff on me for that. Okay. Gonna hang my head in shame also. Go. Alright. And thank you for the fluid check. Hey, Chan, look up. So to coincide with the fluid check. That's actually a pretty. That would be an interest. That's actually an interesting idea. I'll have to look in that. I genuinely like that, yeah. And I think that should actually be possible. Jian stammered while grabbing the nape of my neck. Ooh, nape grabbing. Couldn't tell because it was so dark. There were a lot more tools hanging from the ceiling as well. They all looked like they were made of iron bars. But then I figured it out. Cages. For cages, they were very small. Cramped cages. Just for one. Like a casket. You got locked up in there. No. You wouldn't get locked up inside it. It was another tool meant for restraining people. Where the iron bars would squeeze you tightly. All the many, big and large, things of all shapes were hanging down. Do your cages hang though? Do they wobble to and fro? Can you tie people up? Can you put them in a... I didn't quite was it. Takano's method of execution by grilling crosses my mind. We weren't just surrounded on all sides by all these terrifying instruments, things crowning the ceiling or even hanging over our heads. There are many of these sorts of bird cages among European torture devices. I'm surprised to see them in Japan as well. Kate-chan, is there something in there? Person? A mummy? Where? Jian desperately pointed to one of the many human-sized bird cages hanging from the ceiling, but I couldn't tell which one she meant. Being that dark, there wasn't any way you could tell if something was there in the first place. I don't see anything. Yes, hi, Darchi. We see you. You're sure you're not seeing things? Jian didn't seem convinced. Without a means to confirm of ourselves, wouldn't do much but wonder. You could always poke at it with a stick. The international dead body confirming method. Ibara, after seeing this, have you come to believe in all of it? The countless terrible rituals passed down at Hinamizawa. It's got nothing to do with believing in them. Now that I've been shown the real thing like this, there's no possible way to deny it. Even the nations of Europe, with all their beautiful landscapes and legends, were like a maelstrom during the terrible witch hunts in the Dark Ages. Actually, those were more common in the Renaissance period. Well known that the era gave birth to countless gruesome forms of torture and execution. Japan was the same way. Didn't it have its own era of hellscape like torturous feasts because of religious suppression and things of that nature? Hinamizawa itself had such a period. It had that much history behind it. And in Europe, land of the witch hunts, that was all far in the past, no more than a series of historical events. And in this age, nothing that abnormal would ever happen. That must apply to Hinamizawa as well. Just as Europe had its dark age, Hinamizawa had one too. That's how this should be taken. Even if these things all really happen in Hinamizawa, they're all long past. They don't have... Wait, did Keiichi sing it, or... Maibara. Oh, okay. That was Keiichi saying that. Maibara-kun, you really do like this village. Didn't sound like she was making fun of me. Takano gave me a light smile. Takano, you were researching whether those customs survived in the present. He smiles nice. When Takano here smiles, I'm pretty sure a kitten dies somewhere. Shion suggested something that made my heart leap into my throat. You telling me that all these horrible things are still going on even today? What I'm about to tell you is a secret, alright? I told you, Shion-chan, because you're an understanding person, but the other villagers don't want to hear it. Things go awry, could be ganged up on and punished. Shion flashed a devilish smile as if reveling in the immorality of it. Maibara, you keep it a secret too, okay? If this gets out, I could suffer Oyashiro-sama's curse, or be made into a sacrifice. If it's the curse, then I wonder what kind of death it'll be this year. If it's the sacrifice, then will I be thrown into the Onigafuchi swamp while still alive? It is tonight, you know. The night of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Kano said, bringing her face right up close to ours, as if to say that she had the choice. She'd rather suffer the curse. That was what she seemed to be implying. Takano took a fairly worn notebook out of her paper bag, then began to flip through its pages. There were all sorts of reference to newspaper clippings attached to them, and had all manner of things written inside. The letters were very small and bunched together, so I couldn't tell at a glance what it was about. What I'd really like to do is search the National Library for newspapers from the era, but here it is. A photocopy of a page from some book was slid into the notebook, and it too was written in small, tight lettering. Like the other pages, I couldn't tell what it was about just by glancing at it. This is a story that actually happened. It was around the end of the Meiji era. They discovered an unknown mangled corpse, the victim of a murder in Onigafuchi village. Meiji era would be about like 1880, around that. Actually, what is that? Okay. From October 23rd, 1868 to July 30th, 1912. Pardon me. So, probably the event would be about 1900 if she's referring to it, because it's about the end. An old newspaper clipping attached to the page spoke of something that was no mere fairy tale. We don't have most police documents from the time anymore. It's all based on oral traditions and memories. See? It's not very clear, but it looks like a cutout of a newspaper from the Meiji era. Never before has there been a corpse treated with such cruelty and inhumanity. Could it be the work of a demon? Being a copy of a copy was very hard to make out, and it was more than enough to make me feel strangely tense. Near the end of the Meiji era, in old Onagafuchi village, a mangled corpse was discovered. The identity of the corpse was unknown. It wasn't even in a state where it could be identified in the first place. It was missing a head, and each limb was separated from the body. Skin had been peeled off the entire body, and there were markings that implied terrible torture in every place imaginable. Not only that, but the belly had been cut open by a sharp knife with the entrails completely dragged out. The police immediately began an investigation, but since they couldn't even determine the identity of the victim, much less the criminal, finding answers was extremely difficult. Do you understand what it must have been like? I couldn't imagine such a strange sight, and if I tried. This was the first time I was ever thankful for my lack of imagination. Oh, that was Wenskin Keiji. Heard it! The victim was skinned while alive, underwent all kinds of torture, and was killed brutally. The author here also thinks that even after death, the remains were divided and dissected even further, the epitome of inhumanity. I'm of the opinion that the entire process was performed while the person was still alive, though. What do you think, Maibara? She spoke in a way intended to make me imagine even more vicious things. As my brain was already far over capacity, however, there was no way I could imagine anything more brutal. Then, when I broke my gaze from Takano, those strangely shaped creatures were all around us. Wonder if you could faithfully reproduce the mutilated corpse discovered at the end of the Meiji era, the tools found in this place. I want to deny it. I don't want to admit that something so terrible could have happened at all. Even so, they were so strange, so terrifying, these tools, and as if they had seen through my attempt to escape from them, they did nothing but ridicule me silently. So that creepy incident, what was it in the end? The author says that, regarding Onagafuchi village's dreadful customs, they've survived into the recent post-Meiji days, and that perhaps they lasted until around the beginning of the Showa period. This corpse, which at a glance had been brutally killed after a period of torture. In actuality, however, it was the pitiful sacrificial remains of the man-eater's terrifying feast. The corpse was just leftovers. It was so fantastic, so strange that it didn't feel real. Is this an extension of the legends too? It happened in the Meiji era though, which is just too recent to be called a legend. Also, there's a newspaper flipping right here suggesting it. Hey, but even if it really happened, it was a long time ago, right? I mean, the Meiji era ended 100 years ago. That's all. Only 100 years ago. Besides, it kept happening even after the beginning of the Showa period. Like with the uproar around the post-war canned flesh incident. Oh, I apologize. That story was taboo, wasn't it? Kano immediately stopped talking as if worried about Shion. Shion briefly looked somewhat angry, but that expression soon disappeared. Huh? Kano, what did you just say? And flesh? Just then, there was a huge creaking noise. Everyone whipped around to look. It was Tomotaku who had opened the door slightly. I startle you? Oh, Jiro-san, did you not resist seeing inside? This is a splendid treasure trove of torture devices. I'll pass on that. I'm bad with this sort of thing by nature. Akano held her stomach and had to muffle her laughter, as if she wanted to make a comment about his masculinity. In any case, the dance and ceremony are over, and everyone's going to the stream. The festival will be both over within minutes. That's no good. My bar is just such a good listener that I couldn't help telling stories. I'd rather you not mention me in a place like this. Zero-san, could you wait out front? I want to take a few pictures. There are actually a lot of tools I'd like to bring home, but we obviously can't do that. Kano took camera out of her paper bag and began to snap photographs. She looked like she was having fun, like she was on a scavenger hunt. Eiichi-kun, are you leaving too? I've seen enough. Shion, you're good too, right? Let's get out of here. I want some fresh air. I agree. Let's leave. I did feel a bit of hesitation at leaving Takano by herself in this darkness. When I thought about it, though, I realized that whatever kinds of evil spirits and ghosts lurked in the darkness, none of them could hold a candle to how scary she was. Even if a phantasm was to appear, she'd be overjoyed and flash her camera at it. It seemed like Shion shared my somewhat rude mental images. We exchanged glances and smiled painfully. We left Takano there, bathed in her strobe of camera flashes, and decided to go leave the ritual storehouse. Like they changed that to that music a little bit too quick. Everyone at the festival seemed to have gone to the stream, and their voices were very distant. The voices of the bugs, on the other hand, were clear, lending an empty feeling of isolation to that place. How was it? Interesting? Omatake gave us a somewhat mischievous grin. He should have been able to tell by looking at how pale our faces were. I should have kept watch outside with you, Tomatake. Tomatake laughed so delightfully that it wiped away our dark feelings. How did you fare, Shion-chan? Were you scared? I was prepared for it, so I wasn't too afraid, but seeing the real thing was powerful. Shion spoke like she wasn't scared at all. She really had been quite afraid, but seeing as how I was in way worse a state than her, I didn't have much room to talk. As Tomatake grinned candidly, my mind, exhausted and locked up by nervousness, began to calm itself. Was Takano-san an adult about this little expedition? You know how she seems like a child sometimes. Worried she'd be way too excited. Both Shion and I laughed, and left that as our answer. Hopefully she was only looking at things. I'm worried she'll sneak something out of there, or mess with the ritual implement too much and break it or something. Right, that's quite possible. She is alone in there right now. She might pilfer something small and easily concealed, hiding it in her pocket. Yeah, I can see that. Shion said what I was thinking. You sure she didn't break anything? I could clearly hear the noises like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. I'm sorry. I ran out of film. Jiro-san, you have any more? Could I use some? Kano suddenly appeared while we were talking about her, taking everyone by surprise. Tomatake smoothly grinned and responded as if nothing had happened. He's pretty mature. I'm all out of spare film. Sorry about that. Geez, you won't win a Pulitzer Prize by not stocking enough film for any occasion, you know. I suppose that it's then. Tomatake scratched his head apologetically. Without film, we're done here. Takano seemed to have given up because of that too. We checked carefully to make sure we hadn't left anything inside, but then closed the door and turned to the heavy padlock we'd left beside it. Takano, didn't sneak anything out, right? How rude. I'm trying not to be that childish. Or clack. Tomitake set the padlock back to the way it was before. From a cursory glance, it didn't look like thieves had snuck in at all. Okay, get over to the stream ourselves. If we don't at least set some cotton afloat, there won't be any point in coming to the festival. Tomitake spoke brightly, urging us all on. Setting cotton afloat down the stream. I shake my head a few times, driving away from my dismal thoughts as to the double meaning. Kano-san looked a little let down, kept turning back to glance at the ritual storehouse. Let's just leave it at that, alright? Saw enough to sate your curiosity, didn't you? Oh, not at all. Everything I found only renewed my interests. All those stories and legends suddenly hold water. After today, I'm going to have to change the way I look at all this. She's truly indomitable. Her curiosity really is something else. Still interested in all this through and through. We descended the stone stairs and all the people crowded the stream came into view. Near the bottom of the stairs, we could clearly see people receiving cotton that had been cut out for them, then wishing upon the cotton and setting it afloat down the stream. The festival was already over. Damn. It's my chance to photograph the best part of Watanagashi. Oh, but it's not too late. I'm going to go and set some afloat. Perhaps you could take pictures of me. Kana, with an impish expression, brought her head to Tomitake-san's shoulder. Despite his age, he looked somewhat embarrassed. Felt an honest respect for Tomitake, man to man, for dating such a handful of a woman. Goodbye then, my Bara. Shion-chan. Going to go down the stream. You'd like to come with us? No. Couldn't get in your way. Please, take your time. Shion waved her hand to them with an expression just as impish as Takano's. Tomitake, on his part, seemed to want us to come, but whatever. Shion gave a big stretch, sat down on the stone steps. Heh, pretty worn out. Same here. I'm exhausted too. Hey, Chan, this is your first Watanagashi, isn't it? You go on, don't mind me. I'm tired, so I'd like to step away from the crowd. If we were to go now, we'd barely slip into the end of the cotton drifting ceremony. My sister and your other friends might be looking for you too. Go on. Oh yeah, right. They've been by themselves ever since we got separated. I'd feel bad if they were looking for me. Then Shion said, suddenly got a playful look on her face, and put her index finger to my lips as if telling, keep this a secret. My sister's the type gets really jealous. She knew I was hogging you this whole time. She never let me hear the end of it. So keep tonight a secret, okay? Keep tonight a secret. Don't say things that are so embarrassing. Not only because of that, either. Consider what we are doing tonight. We really need to keep it a secret. Oyashiro-sama's curse might happen tonight, and we four would be the prime candidates. The loosening threads of tension. The loosening threads of tension became taut again. Shion, however, burst out laughing. All right, I'm going to get out of here before I run into my sister. I really am tired. I don't have the endurance to put up with her anyway.
And the crowd goes wild. Yay!
I can't tell if you get along with her or not. We get along. Press X to doubt. I really doubt that. Either that or it's get along in a very limited sense. Exactly. I'm an only child, so I don't really get it. Make sure you get along with her, okay? Right. Thank you kindly for your meddling. Okay, I'm gonna go. You should hurry if you want to make it, Kei-chan. Watanagashi really is about to end. Shion stood up and brushed the dust off her backside. After watching her do so. How closely were you watching her do so? Keiichi? I returned my eyes to the final ceremony of the Watanagashi festival below me. Seriously, though, what was that sound, anyway? Kind of unpleasant and creepy. Huh? What sound? The sound. You know, the banging noise. It was really loud, wasn't it? I was giving her a blank expression, so Shion stared hard at me. Stared hard at her, too. Sorry, Shion. Can you give me the short version? What was making noise? I get the feeling we're gonna hear something very, very not good. Wait, Kei-chan, didn't bother you? When all said and done, it was like we were speaking two different languages. Shion, explain it to me without jokes, from the beginning, will you? What's this about a noise? Kei-chan, you quit joking around too. Really, honestly, it didn't bother you? Neither of us was giving any ground, and both of us were staring at the other in disbelief. We were answering questions with more questions. No sign of actual conversation in sight. Baffled, I held in the urge to shout at her, and ask politely one more time. Going to ask one more time, okay? I'll ask the questions. Shion nodded silently. Okay, here goes. You said there was a sound. What are you talking about? The banging sound. It was like a kid was just jumping up and down on the floorboards, somewhere far away. It really didn't bother you? There was nothing to be bothered by. When did you hear this? Never heard anything. Wait, Kei-chan, are you serious? Fiona, as she didn't understand my plain and simple answer, pressed me further, her expression serious. I have no clue what she's talking about, but if it has Shion acting like this, whatever it was, it gave me the creeps and sent a chill down my spine. It was while we were looking around inside of the ritual storehouse with Takano. About the time she started her stories, I think it was. Little by little, louder and louder, off and on. You heard a banging sound, like a child jumping on distant floorboards. That can't be true. Don't start trying to scare me like, after all. Everything at all. In fact, it was so utterly silent in there that my own heartbeat was almost deafening. Please, don't try to scare me either, Kei-chan. It was like something was in time with Takano's scary stories, and I was totally creeped out the whole time. A chill rose from my spine to the back of my head. My blood turned cold as it crawled up my body. When it reached my head, my mind froze over. You and Takano weren't paying any attention to it at all. I pretended not to hear it either, but you heard it, right? It happened a bunch of times, and it was really loud. Ian's eyes were begging me to tell her I heard it. I had no doubt, however, that my own eyes suggested something entirely different. You've got to be kidding me, look. In that storehouse, we were surrounded by brutal ritual tools that looked like they were from another planet, listening to terrifying old stories. The whole time, Shion had been hearing a sound that we couldn't hear. By herself. Did that make Shion, who heard it, tremble? Or did it make me, didn't hear it, tremble? I didn't know the answer to that at the time. For now, Shion seemed to have made that decision before I did. What are you laughing about? I really got you, Kei-chan. I was fibbing the whole time. What? Shion laughed, saying how easily scared I was, and clapped me on the back. Her smile seemed somehow artificial, and actually made me feel worse. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm thinking she's lying to, like, either get him to, like, calm down or whatever, or to calm herself down, or probably a little bit of both. Then after leaving me with 2 or 3 generic diplomatic goodbye phrases, she left, most like she was running away. All I could do was look after her, my mouth agape. At the end of the day, I didn't have a clue what was going on. Shion laughed it off and said she had been lying, but she couldn't possibly have been lying. Of course not. And now that I think back, Tomitake-san said the same thing, didn't he? I could clearly hear some noises like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. Tomitake, the most neutral party present at the time, had said he'd heard something. Then, that noise, it was real? The banging sounds. Sounds as though a child was jumping up and down on some kind of floorboards far away. Shiro-sama's curse, which happens every year, might happen again tonight. The most plausible victim candidates were Akano, Tomitake, Shion, and me. The bustling of this people sounded further away than I would have liked, and the sounds of the insects sounded too close for comfort. Near as much human warmth. Near so much human warmth, and yet I can't ever go back there again. That was the ominous idea that sprouted in my mind. And all of a sudden, I was pounced on from behind, causing my heart to lurch. Eiichi, we found you. It was Rika. When I turned around, Mion and Reina were there too. Mion sighed and said, "Finally found you. Now we just need to find Satoko." Everyone got split up this year. We should make sure we have somewhere to meet up afterwards next year. Aw. You're right. It's a festival, so we should all be together. And listen to Mion's happy declaration with a little bit of guilt. Eiichi, did you root for me while I was dancing? Oh yeah, I saw it all. You did a great job all the way through. No mistakes either. Yeah, that's right, Rika-chan. That didn't count as a mistake. I tensed up as I realized a mistake of my own. Mion slapped a hand onto my shoulder a little roughly. A gross sweat broke out over my whole body. Did you do it too, Kei-chan? Did you get some cotton and send it down the stream? You haven't yet, right? What I could feel her saying. Without the courage to tell any more lies, I lifelessly shook my head. Huh? You haven't, Keiichi-kun. You should go now or it'll be over. It'll be over. Sorry. My first Watanagashi, so I don't really understand the rules and stuff. That's right. I'm sorry. Mion took my hand and we started walking down the stone steps. Hey, Kei-chan. What? I bet she knows. Did you see Shion? My heart skipped another beat. Maybe Mion could sense my surprise through my hand. No, well, I sort of think I saw her. You two look alike, so it might have been you. You wouldn't have gotten that wrong. We're wearing different clothes. Oh, that's right. Mion's momentary silence was like a death grip upon me. I just can't do anything about that Shion. Well, it's her we're talking about. We can just leave her be. Mion's expression turned to her former usual smile, and we continued down the stone steps, her firmly pulling my hand along. You have received new chips. Yay, so we finished chapter 7.